Right. Welcome back to Astrology Study Group, where we like to study astrology. That's the best way I can put it. So, here is a little list of the personal or inner planets, basically Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, that are faster acting. They're faster, and there's a lot more going on. The outer planets are more generational, although Jupiter, because it moves, it's sort of in between. It's in a sign. I don't want to just say for a year because it's weird. It's motion. It'll be like in a sign for, I don't know, 4 months or 5 months. Then it'll retro. And sometimes it will retro back in the previous sign and then be there. And then it'll speed through the sign that it was in and then go into the next sign. But it's technically in a sign per year, and different signs it's in kind of longer or not. Like when it goes through Aries, it breezes through Aries. I mean, flies, uh, and other signs it goes a little longer. But anyway, I digress. Jupiter is a little longer like that. And so it's one, in one whole sign pretty much for that year. And then Saturn is in a sign for 2.5 years. And then it goes from there. Uranus is about 8 years, and then it gets more. So they're longer and it doesn't move so fast. So you kind of know where it is. The other planets, especially the moon is like a 2-year-old. I mean, it moves really fast. You better know where that's at. Or your Mercury, Mercury moves very fast. It moves around the sun. Uh, you know, it, uh, it's, how do I say it? It moves, it could go either way. It goes retrograde about 3 times a year or about every 3 months for about 3 weeks, something kind of like that. Venus, I mean, well, then here, Venus goes, it's retrograde. I mean, its cycle is about 18 months. And I mean, it goes retrograde every 18 months for about 40 days. 40 days and 40 nights. There's a lot of interesting correlations with that number in Venus. We'll talk about that another time. But nonetheless, this is interesting. One of the most famous and oldest records of Venus's cycles is the Venus tablet of, I can't even think about pronouncing this, Amisaduaka or something like that, which is more than 3,500 years old. Basically, the cool thing about the Venus cycle is that it makes it in 8 years, it will be back to about where it was, like a couple degrees further back, where it was when it started. And it will make, in that 8 years, it makes a 5-pointed star. Fascinating. A pentacle, and it goes, is it in its retrograde or its cycle? I'll just have to show it to you, but it skips a sign. It goes like every two, and then it comes back, and then it crosses itself. It makes that star. It's amazing. And that's retrograde time when you can't see it is, like about 40 days. Anyway, very fascinating. Mars is your energy. This is its cycle is about every 2 years, like every 26 months. And we just finished one. And the next one starts, the next retro starts. I should say that the cycle is like every 2 years. So the next retro starts next year, not this year, but the following year, 2024. So it's like 2 years because it just went direct. Mars just went direct. All right. So these are the basic energies. And then Mars is again telling us where our energy is. Venus is our values. Mercury is our mind. Moon is our emotions, and the sun is our core essence. Now, I'm totally oversimplifying, but I got to give you just some little pegs, little hooks to hang things on. So this is the basic energy that we deal with kind of all the time, and the reason why it's so pertinent is that they're they're going to be going through the various, the sun will go through every house in a year's time. The moon treks through all that in 28 days. Mercury will do it like 3 times a year. Venus, the cycles get longer and longer, but nonetheless, it's nice to know where those retrogrades are when those planets change gears from our perspective. And the moons, the sun and the moon, of course, the sun, I like to make it, how do I say it? If you take your sun sign and you go add a month and then add a month, they're all good. It's going to make all of the angles all the way around. So just follow me with this. So if your birthday is, like, take the birthday, like for me, it falls on the 6th, and the 6th happens to be 16 degrees. So my sun is at 16 degrees. So about the 6th of every month, the sun will be at 16 degrees of the next sign. So if it's 1 month away from my birthday, either way, either the month before or the month after, that's going to be 30 degrees away. So the month before my birthday and the month after will be a semi-sextile. It will be like it has nothing in common with that sun sign energy at all, other than being kind of the same kind of time of year, maybe. All right, and then if I go the next month, 2 months away on either side, 60 degrees or 2 signs, I'm going to have 60 degrees, or the sextile, and that's more harmonious. That's going to be at least the same polarity. If I was born, like, I'll just use for instance, I was Aries. I was born in Aries, which is a positive, outward, masculine, cardinal fire sign. So either side of Aries, the sign, the month before was Pisces, the month after is Taurus. So the next one out, those are the semi-sextile. The next one out will be the sextile, and going before my birthday, it would be Aquarius, and going after my birthday, it would be Gemini. So both of those are positive or masculine signs, but we still don't have any elements in common. And then also one is, we still don't have anything there. Okay, so we then move out one more. Well, actually, I'm just going to keep going, try to go this whole thing for you. And then we move out one more sign, and then we move out to what's squaring me, the square. It would be the next cardinal sign. So it would then be it would then be so which way do I want to tell you? Let's just go. We can go Capricorn, or we can go the summer sign of Cancer. Okay, so now those are square. And then if I go one more the other way, those are going to trine me. Those will be fire signs. Those will be Sagittarius and Leo. And then if I go one more again, I'm getting close to the opposition now. I will have the inconjuncts. The inconjuncts would be Scorpio on one side and Virgo on the other. And then the opposition would then be Libra. Okay, so you can do this from your own chart. You just look and see, you're going to have one of each kind of, and until you get to the opposition. There's one opposition. So that goes all the way. Those months are like that. So your opposing month, the month is, the opposite time of year from your birthday, is going to be probably your lowest energy time, or less, when you're not engaged as much. You'll be busier around your birthday. You'll be more charged up, and you'll be busier, or I should say, you'll be more challenged on the squares. The opposition is that's the challenge. That's the opposing to you. Then the squares are challenging. Those will be like when you're turning corners. The trines and the sextiles are the nice times of year. And then, the semi-sextiles in either side just kind of like, it could be sort of, but then the inconjuncts on the other side by your opposition can be kind of a crappy time. You could have the 3 months that's on the other side of the chart of your birthday, the month before your opposition, the opposition month, and then the month after can just be sort of where you don't get your way. You're not as outward. People don't hear you. They don't appreciate you. You kind of get pushed to the side. Things don't go in your favor. It's not the time. It's not your time. So it's good to know. It's good to know that that time of the year, your sun, those energies, that inconjunct, opposition, inconjunct, is just the sucky time for us all. there's 3 months we're kind of right in a row that suck on that level. Doesn't mean that you should shut everything down, but if you have a lot of, you got to like be thicker skinned, I should say, during those times. When you get rejected or battered or things don't go your way, you just got to just know that you're just gonna, it's the law of odds right now, baby. It's the law of odds. Just move on, go to the next one. Barrel through it, kind of. So these are good things to know. And then once you get the idea of your yearly pattern with your sun, it's an in breath, out breath. When things are coming close to your sun, you start getting into, that trine, and then you get going, and then you get into the square, and then your sextile. It's like there's some energy movement there. It's like, if you hit your trine right, then that square energy is not so bad, or the other way around, however you want to view it. All right, come on, one is on one way, one's on the other. So we'll look at that where it makes a little more sense, I hope. So your moon's emotions, and the same thing. So this is, I showed you that with your sun, or just went through it. So this would then be your emotions every month, and it kind of shifts for the month. But then here, it's also good to know where the full, or I should say the new and the full moon are. First of all, it's always good to know that with the kind of where the new moon is, because that's when you're sort of making new intentions about things and putting things hopefully into some kind of fruition and motion. These are just motions of the planetary energies that continue on, whether we're aware of them or not, and we can go with the force and the tides of nature or against it. So it makes more sense to kind of go with these flows. So the full moons bring you to some kind of a culmination. And then the phase between the two again is an assimilative phase. You're assimilating what you sort of brought up and then getting ready to redo the kind of the next. It's kind of like the new moon is like, all right, I'm decide to make this recipe. All right, boom, all the phase, you're getting your ingredients, and then you culmination is you make the recipe and you taste it, full moon, and then from there, you make adjustments and get new ingredients or anything before you make the next new recipe. Okay, something like that. Mercury. This is good to know, again, where the retro periods are and the shadows, where it goes, where it has to backtrack over itself. So it's going forward, and it's maybe progressing, going through, a house, a certain area, going over some signs, and then all of a sudden it starts to slow down and get more intense. When anything is approaching, it's retrograde or it's station, either way, it will get more intense. So then all of a sudden it's going to be like at 14 degrees and 14. Oh my goodness, when will it ever move? No, and then it goes retrograde. Okay, it gets off of that, but now it goes back, and then it goes back so far, and then it goes back as far as it can get away from the sun. Then it goes forward again, and then it will go back over that area where it just was. That's the shadow period. So then it goes past the degree that it went retrograde on, and then it starts to gain new ground. So all of that area can be churning up a lot of different energies. It could be good, or it could be difficult. Just depends on what and where that is. All right. Know where the retrograde cycles and the shadow period for Venus is. This is about every 18 months, and it's a good month and a half that it's retrograde, and we're going to have one this year. We'll look at. We talked about that, and then Mars, we already talked about that, and then here we go. I wanted to show you these cycles before we quickly went over to that. So I know what I wanted to mention to you. Right here, we moved into this year with Mercury going into Capricorn, which is an earth sign. It was right at the end of December, like the 29th, and then, it just went direct, a few days ago, last week or so. All right. The next one that we're going to have in April 21st, it will be in Taurus. And then the next one that we have, Mercury retrograde in Virgo. So those are all earth signs. So this year we have it in, all of our Mercury retrogrades will be in earth signs. It's very interesting to know. And then look at next year, Mercury retrogrades in Sag But then it will, I don't have the degrees on this here, but then it does go back into Capricorn as well, kind of like this year. So this is interesting that, there are these patterns, and if we had a longer look at things, we can look at these patterns, every so many years we go through these cycles of patterns. All right, let's look at now how to know these, how to look at this, and kind of how to put it into action. So let me give you a new share. All right, you should be seeing the ephemeris. And I put this for February 2023. This is basically just a regular old ephemeris. And what you'll note is, well, this right now, all the planets are direct. See, they're all, dark. And then they have the little red line here because that's the weekend. That's Sunday before the week starts again. So what we do is we look down the column, and let's look at Mercury because it's going to, turn retro the first of all of these. But I'll slide this down and just keep your eye on the Mercury, and you're seeing, Mercury it's in Capricorn as we middle of Capricorn as we start February, and then about the middle of the month, it moves into Aquarius. By the end of the month, that's at 25. Now let me go to the next month. Here's March, and then Mercury is still in Aquarius, and then here on March 3rd, it moves into Pisces. So we see it, Pisces. Okay, it goes down. Let's go to the end of the month. You can see it like to 23 Pisces. Sorry, let me get it. Where we go. Here on the 20th, it moves into Aries, changes signs. See, this is good to know, where, well, we'll look at somebody in a second, but I just want to show you how you can you can just mark this down. You can probably look up and just say Mercury retrogrades, 2023, and it'll probably come up with a group of them like that. Otherwise, if you did the old fashioned way, you can look down the ephemeris, and then you notice here in April, you can see it changes color here on the 22nd, April 22nd. The sun had just moved into Taurus. Look at the day before, it was 21st is when it moves into Taurus. That's the sun because it's the first one. So right here, it turns retrograde at 15 Taurus. 15 Taurus. So, okay, good to know. Now, let's keep moving forward, and it's like about 3 weeks, and we'll see when it turns direct, but we'll see how far back it goes. So now it's going to be backtracking. This will be called the shadow period. Here's in May now. Here we go. Keeps going, and it's like right around the 15th there. Look at that. It's like at 15 degrees, and then on the 15th, it turns direct. Well, actually, it's 16th, but that's the last day of it retrograde. It's just funny, things like that. Okay, so here we go. It goes back to 5 Taurus, and it's going to be going all the way back through these shadow degrees. You can see it there, moving forward. There, it's like by the end of the month, it's still not out of, I think it was 15? Yeah, that's right. It won't be to the beginning of June. Like beginning of June. June 1st, it's like it gets out of the shadow period. So we can look at all of those. So that would be good to know and see that, because those are areas where you're going over something, and it's important if you have planets there. If you don't have a lot of planets or much aspecting it, then it's just like, oh, well, yeah. But when it is, that's what we want to find out. So we do the same thing for Venus, and it goes retrograde in July, and we'll just look at that. I just want you to see that. So we see Venus here, and it's at Leo, 20 degrees Leo, 24, 5, 6, 7, 28. Oh, 28. We're slowing down. See, look how many days here it's at 28. Normally, look at it was like almost a degree a day. Look at 20, 21, 22. Look, it's starting to slow down here this month. It's like every 2 days. And then it starts slowing down. It's like, look at 26, it's 3 days. It's at 4 days, 4 days at 27. And then it's just like bleh, 28. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 days at 28 degrees. So if you've got something, squaring, if you have something to, 28-degree Leo or anything squaring this, anything at the fixed signs of 28 degrees, that would be good to know. All righty. And so forth with the other planets. Now let's go. Let's give you a new share. Let's look at, let's look at this one. Okay. We will look at this. This is the birth chart of Tom Brady and the transits right now. So he has look at the inner chart. Don't look at outside yet. Look at the inner side. So we're going to notice real quick. He has a Leo sun, and he has Saturn in Leo as well. I'm just looking around and he's got Uranus and in Scorpio. That's squaring it. It's not by degree. It's close to squaring the sun. Anything over here? Nothing in Taurus, and nothing here. No. Okay. Let's see what else he's got. Okay, so he's got Aries moon, he's got Mars and Gemini, and you should go, oh, Mars and Gemini. And then we should know that remember Mars just went direct, and it's been in Gemini for a while, right? And it went way back. It went over his Mars. And and then now it's in a few days or so, it will go over his Mars again. And I'm not following it, but I've heard little snippets. I think it was at my mom's house. I heard something like or I don't know. He either was thinking about retiring, or he did, and then he's coming back, or he wants to do a comeback or something like that. Again, I'm not totally up on it, so don't quote me on it, but he's getting active again, and that would be indicative of, I'll have to go look that up, of Mars going back over his natal Mars. Interesting. All right, what else is going on with Tom? So we've got the new moon. The full moon coming up in Leo this month. And let's see, what degree was it? It was going to be, gosh, I thought I put it out to remember. See if I have in my notes. Oh, 16, right, 16 degrees Leo. Okay, so that's like the midpoint of his Saturn and his sun, the full moon, because the midpoint, it's like right between those two. So that essence is going to be intense for him, I would think. It's going to bring up some stuff for him. Yeah, wow. See, look, we got them. Well, okay, so let's just go into that. Just that alone, because of it's getting closer to squaring, when this time of year is not the best time for him. Interesting, being that it's like the Super Bowl time of year, and his sun is being opposed. It's like today, especially, it's January 31st, is probably the weakest time for his sun. His vitality. So as the sun progresses right there, it will go between his Saturn and his sun. And then, excuse me, and then it will hit his Saturn in about a week. So he gets this whenever anything's going over his sun, or that, he gets Saturn, the sun, and then hits Saturn. So we might get like the and then sobering, or puts in the discipline. That might be a key to his success. He puts in that Saturnian discipline. Okay, then what else would we look at? We would then go just look at every month, and see where in the chart those are going to be. Now, we already said that the Mercury retrogrades are going to be in Earth signs. So where in Tom's chart are there signs? So let's look at Capricorn first. That's down here in his 3rd and 4th house. So let's see, he's like right at the cusp. His cusp is the bottom of his chart is 16 degrees. So he has half of the 3rd house and half of the 4th house. So that would be there. That would be his communications, depending on if it's, before 16, or his home with its after 16. So this last one probably affected him. I think Again, I don't follow it a whole lot, but I think there's some upset in his home. There's divorce or thinking about divorce, or there was divorce or something like that. And he had Mercury retrograde going through there, those areas. Miscommunications, um, absent at the home or not, just a problem with that. Okay, so the next one, let's go look and see where Taurus is in his chart. So Taurus is in his 7th and 8th house. Uh-oh. It's going to be in his house of partners and other people's money. So that will be interesting. This next one, at the end of April, when that one comes, it'll be, again, I'm not following it, but I might now, just because it's be interesting to note. That next Mercury retrograde is going to go over his south node. Ooh, before it goes retrograde, but it's going to go over his south node. South node is sitting there right on his descendant. So, well, something with, relationships, karma, giving back there, that's a big deal for him, and that's going to come over that. So anyway, and then the north, he's going to have a nodal, halfway nodal thing in about within the next year. This north and south node will align, but Mercury we're talking about, so it will be in the 7th and 8th house depending on its retrograde cycle. Let's see, did I write it down over here? Yes. So oh, I didn't put, I just put the dates, I didn't put the degrees. Okay, anyway, on your sheet. So anyway, that's the one. And then we got another one in August, and that one will be in Virgo. We'll look a second. I'll go through them and we'll actually see, but that will be in Virgo. So that will affect his 11th and maybe 12th house, depending on where it is. So that's what we'll have to go look. So let's look at this for Tom. Let's do weeks. Actually, let's do months. Let's go ahead and just look at that. Months. And let's look at when some of those cycles are. So there's February, March. Okay, so March, we got a few things happening. We'll go a little slower here. Let's do days. Okay, so March, end of March. Interesting. I picked this day, March 28th. It should be actually the 27th if I went going back. Come on. There. March 27th, the sun will go over his natal moon, if my time is correct. And I put the time at 11:48. I usually put them like 11:59 or 12 or 12:01 if I don't know the time, but because I did this, I tend to think that that's a correct time. I'm going to just pretend it is, and his houses are correct for this video. So, nonetheless, all right, we've got that exact little aspect going on there. So that's going to be an interesting day for him. The sun would be going right over his moon. So these are sun moon things you might look at. Okay, so we're looking ahead. What did we say? We're going to look at April, right? Let's see, Mercury. Well, we're going to find Mercury in the outer part here. It's probably where you can't see it. There, you can see it. All right, it's finishing through Aries. It goes on, it's going through air. I mean, there it goes. And it crossed his, let's see, anyway, let's go to, where was it, like the 20th or something? Slowing down. Station, and there it's retrograde. The 15 to get 15 degrees, that's right. So 15, all right, so right at it's still just in. I mean, if this is right, it's retrograde right at almost at the end of his 7th house. Look at that. It's like, almost, no, sucker, you can't get out of this. You got to go back. This is kind of karmic. Look at, and then suck. Oh boy, suck to be you right now. No, it's going to go back. Look, it's going back through there. How long will that go? Well, we said it's like 3 weeks, right? So goes all the way back. Yeah, to right around, yeah, there it is, to 5 degrees. It goes 5 degrees. So it just hangs out over there. So that's good to know. Then, you would look at, of course, let's just go look at, I want to see Venus months, because it's going in Leo. let's look at that. I gotta go by days now. All right, let's go find Venus here. It's just went retrograde. So let's go. Where is it when it was earlier. Let me go where it's direct. There we go. Stationing. Okay, it's 28 degrees on the, that's right. Oh, that's right. It was on the end of July. Okay. So right here, Venus goes direct, goes retrograde, 28 degrees. And this is in his 11th house. And let's see if it goes back over his, oops, yeah. If it goes back, oh, how far back it goes. It goes over his Saturn. Oh, it does. Oh, yeah. Look at that. It goes over his Saturn. And this is interesting. Look at the moon. The sun comes around and goes over his sun. So it gets energy. And now the moon's coming around with the new moon of that month. And it's sandwiching. Oh, look at this right here on this day. It'll be an interesting day. The middle of August, the 15th. Oh, with the moon, right before the new moon of that month, it's like Venus is caught right in that retrograde. So I predict there's going to be some strange year with his, his home life, his women, Venus, his values, something changes. Okay. And then here we go. Let's see if it goes over. It's still retrograde. Let's see how far it goes. Does it go over his sun again? Oh, it does. Oh no, it goes almost to it. That's right. It goes 12 degrees. Look at it just hangs almost right at his sun. And it starts going direct again. So yeah, it just goes almost. Oh, so this would be interesting to watch how this drama how this one plays out. But I would definitely be looking more into this. I didn't look at anything else. I'm just looking at this. I'm not seeing, we could look in micro view in and see how, other players. I wasn't looking at anything else that would be affecting this, which would tell more of the story. I'm just zoning in on this for you. And this is what we would do. We would note that. We would just like, wow, this is an intense time for him. It's gone back. It retrograded, over his Saturn and his sun, and then it's going to go over it again. So he needs to know, like, when the forward hit, the backward hits, and then the forward hits again. And this Venus, that's your love, that's your values, going over his sun, his identity, and Saturn, structure, limitations. Not good. Again, I don't know what's going on with him. I've just heard snippets, but that, we could micro in on that. So we would look at the other things. We'd look at the other, look at Mars, look at, we've already saw that, Mars was, at the beginning of this year, it was going over his Mars. So he had a Mars return, and now his Mars is flying. So it's making aspects, it went over conjuncted since that time, now August, it went from now, all the way through. It went over his Jupiter, his Venus, his Sun, Saturn, his Mercury, and it's about to go over his Pluto and his North Node. So he's got an interesting year. Okay, so this is how you use these transits. This is what you do. You're going to see where in your chart they are, what areas it's going to affect, what part of your chart. And then we already noticed that Venus, with him, it was, he had to deal with stuff there in the 7th house, and then now it's going over, and he went retrograde and on stuff in his 10th house. That's his occupation too. That's where he's seen in the world. So I think this is something with him, and maybe he's going to retire. I don't know. Maybe he's going to make a comeback. Something, is up for that this year for him. This is kind of a big deal. So we look through that. We note those months. We note the times. We note the dates. You color code it in your calendar. The little things, it's like, yeah. But like some of these big things like that you want to notice for yourself or your clients, just go through and like kind of comb through some of this. Or that's what a good astrologer does, is to, note all of these things. But this is what we do. All right, this is it for today. I'm going to go on to the transits. Thank you for watching, and more next time. Have a good week. Bye-bye.